That superb time of the weekend when you keep company with Weekend and that exciting day unveils. We urge you to stay with us. It's going to be something that you don't miss any bit of. Last time, we took a retrospective look at events of 2020, the how, the when, the why, the who, the impact. Today, it's time to come up with the critical questions and chat with those who prefer answers. In the course of the program, we'll welcome the Honorable Minister for Transportation, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi. He will be answering quite a number of questions from us here in the studio and from you who will be a part of the program via our numbers, WhatsApp and SMS. My name is Thelma Obase.
My name is Suleiman Baba Jelsman. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. And Thelma, I know it's still early in the year and people are still readjusting to see how the year will pan out. Of course, 2020 was something different. Nobody expected COVID to have this, impact on the economy and the life of people around the world. But 2021 actually provides us with a different perspective, different opportunity to realign our thought to ensuring that we get things right this time around.
And we must get things right. That's why expectations for 2021 is our focus today on Weekend Deal. It's Weekend Deal. Keep our company. It's an interactive chat. We're having very exciting conversations today. First, with the Honorable Minister for Transportation, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi. We'll also be speaking with Honorable Sununu Yusuf to talk about the expectations of the electorate. Reach out to us via numbers. We would like to hear from you via WhatsApp or SMS. But for now, Francis Ogbe has done for us an overview. What are the expectations for 2021? If you stay with us, you'll find that out.
Year in, year out, the needs of Nigerians practically remains the same. Provision of basic amenities by their elected officials, infrastructural development across board, ensuring a favorable business environment and adequate security among others. The year 2021 is not different. Nigerians are expecting better delivery from their elected officials.
Elective office is not an appointment that you use your qualification to struggle for. People elected you, go and represent us. Either you are a councillor, you are a chairman of a local government, or you are a member of the House of Representatives or senator. Whatever position you have is a position of trust. You are representing people. And during this problem of this pandemic, this is the time elected officers are supposed to have come out and identify with the masses. Look at this NSAS problem that how many of our elected officers go back to their community and address their people to calm down. So I want this 2021, every elective officer should take note that their appointment is, their position is not an appointment. It's an elected position, and they have to deliver.
Government must reform the electoral system in such a way that young men are given opportunity, be it from councillor to the presidential level, to come into the system, contest favorably on level playing fields, and be, elected into office. Once you expand the electoral scope, there is a tendency for have better and more qualitative, represent people holding offices. And that, in its effect, would also tell on the quality of service delivery.
Agriculture remains the backbone of the Nigerian economy. Consequently, President Muhammadu Buhari has vowed to ensure Nigeria achieve food sufficiency under his administration. How has the journey been so far?
The government has made us understand that there is enough in our grain, reserves, but food sufficiency, goes just beyond the sustenance food production, we're talking about. We should be able to process whatever we're, producing here. And then if there is enough food in the market, but the cost of buying is high, that again creates a disconnect, between the food and the hungry man on the street, because there is food, but you cannot buy, because one, you lack the capacity, the financial capacity, to buy.
We have massive fertile land in Nigeria. Security of the Nigerian masses become number one. Nobody is ready to go to farm again, because if you are inside your farm, you'll be afraid of people that will come to attack you. But we don't have any other country than Nigeria. The best solution is for the federal government to carry the district head along.
Transport is integral to any society. The strategic importance cannot be underestimated, as products and services must reach their final consumers. What should Nigerians expect from the sector in 2021?
It's not necessarily for all of us to be using car. This railway we are talking about is a very good means of transportation. And when you talk of intercity too, look at trailer. In fact, there's one bridge, I don't know, they call $10 bridge or $10 every year accident. If those tankers that used to convey petroleum product to other part of the country, they should use rail system.
In the riverine areas, government must pump money into dredging our shores here to open up transportation within the riverine areas. Once there are these dredges and once the dredging is done, it will be easier to move goods and services across the length and breadth of the country within the waterways.
The federal government has a large number of institutions aimed at monitoring the power of the executive, increasing personal freedom, protecting consumers from exploitation, and ensuring justice. What are Nigerians expecting from such institutions responsible for enforcing standards?
If the agency are so serious by seizing substandard product, destroy them and prosecute the offender, it will serve as a big lesson for others. To solve the problem of this substandard product, the government must have a policy where all traders must belong to one association or the other.
Weekend Deal today focuses on expectation for 2021.
Francis went out, sought the opinion of those who know what's happening in our country, Nigeria, put together an overview to touch on the various issues we're looking at, because we did tell you earlier that expectations for 2021 is our focal point, and that's why we take off with the transportation sector. Is huge: water, land, rail. Right Honorable Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, the Minister for Transportation, is here with us. Welcome, Honorable Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me take off with something that one of Francis's guests said earlier. I did do some research, and I heard that way back, petroleum products were ferried via train. He said that in the last few years, like a recurring decimal, every year there's a tanker explosion, sometimes more than one or two. He wonders, like many Nigerians must wonder too, why are we still ferrying our petroleum products with these tankers when we have what seems like a more viable and safer option, which is the rail system?
It's a typical Ikure saying that the tortoise was thrown into a toilet pit for 7 years, and then the day they want to bring the tortoise out of the toilet pit. Say, oh, please, the stench is too much, hurry. But we've been there for 6 years, 11 months, and nearly 30 days. I think Nigerians will be a bit more patient with us in the Ministry of Transportation over the issue of wet cargo. Currently, we're trying to conclude construction of railway into the seaport to enable us to transport cargoes, whether wet or dry cargoes, to various destinations. Again, even if we begin to transport, we will, but the wet cargoes that can go anywhere will be anyone that can go between Lagos and Ibadan, because we're here to construct Ibadan to Kano, which we're going to start this year. The moment we start Ibadan to Kano this year, it's going to be like 6 areas of construction, which will be Lagos, which will be Kaduna, Kano, Abuja, Mina, Ilorin to Shubo to Ibadan. Now, when it starts, and there's Ekiti, the one, I think from Oshobo to Ekiti also, to Ekiti. So we want to conclude that then we'll be able to move wet cargoes all the way to Kano from Lagos. If we also commence the construction of Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, we'll be able to ferry wet cargoes from Bonny up to Maiduguri, up to Gashua and Damatru. So as we finish the construction of any of our rail projects, that's how we'll move cargoes, whether wet or dry cargoes from the seaport.
Well, funding has been a huge thing when it comes to, providing rail infrastructure in the country, and some experts have actually said that Nigeria needs about 2 to 3 trillion, to fix the rail infrastructure. But even in this 2021 budget, you have like 200 and something, billion, and then you begin to wonder, where will the funds come from? We know that, we have applied for loan from China and other sources like that. Now, if this comes, are we saying that we are going to have a fully blown, or rather the rail infrastructure really provided in the country?
This will be dependent on Ministry of Finance, because they have a presidential approval to borrow money to do the following rails. So if Ministry of Finance is able to get those resources, then we'll be able to construct the rails. Too many Nigerians are not happy with me when I say that they should stop complaining, because there was a time we had about $68 billion in our SS crude account. Why didn't Nigeria as a country utilize that money? When Obasanjo was leaving, he left such amount of money. And I have said to Nigerians that let's go by the contract. Lagos Calabar is $11.1 billion. If you add it to Lagos Kano, which is $8.7 billion, we're talking about $19.8 billion. You add it to Port Harcourt, Maiduguri, which is 3.020, so you're talking about $22 billion, even though the one from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is for now narrow gauge. But so if you add it, it will be 22 point something billion dollars. If you add central lines, let's assume, you're talking about 25. But you need to come back to Port Harcourt, Maiduguri to construct standard gauge, which may take you to about 30 billion to 36 billion. So if you take out of that $68 billion you had, if you removed money from there to construct rail, by now we won't be borrowing money, because we had the money. We are borrowing money because we don't have money. No, Nigeria should not pretend about it. Nobody should just go and say, oh, we're a very rich country. Do per capita income versus the population that we have. Nigeria doesn't have jack. We're just a country that's so proud that we're big. Yes, we are. In fact, our population is good for marketing. So you have cargo, you have goods, you have market to buy. But if the population does not have purchasing power, it's like any other country that is poor. We are very poor. And the earlier we admit it, the better for us. Now, so when you see what you see in the budget is essentially our counterpart funding, because we are borrowing the money. We are waiting for the Chinese government and banks to approve the $5.3 billion that we need to construct Ibadan to Kano. We are currently
Okay, I thought that was approved last year.
No, where we applied, what was approved is the contract. That's the problem I have as a minister. The moment I announced that the federal government has awarded a contract of $5.3 billion to CCCC to construct Ibadan to Kano, they assume the money has come in. No. Up till now, we've not gotten the money 2 or 3 years after we've applied for the loan. We are currently applying for a loan facility for Lagos Calabar. That is $11.1 billion. We are currently also applying for a loan facility for $3.020 billion for Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. But until we get those loans, we can't construct.
You can start work.
And we have almost finished the construction of Lagos to Ibadan. So if we don't get the loan now, it means that
work will stop.
There's no work.
But, sir,
it doesn't mean that we're unemployed.
Sir, you're talking about loans. We're hearing billion. I know we're not too comfortable with these loans we're taking. What is the payment plan like? Are we looking at that aspect?
You need to ask the Minister for Finance. We're not involved in loan. Minister of Transport is not involved in loan. But let me ask you this. If when we had the money, we had utilized it in infrastructural development, would we be talking about loan now? Are we saying that all the money we had all this while we use it for was just to pay salaries? The roads are bad, and because we're the government in power, they attribute the bad nature of the roads to the Buhari government. Whether you like it or not, Nigerians will admit that light power has improved. Power started improving from when Fashola was the minister in charge of power. And currently, at least we are getting power. It may not be to our expectation, but if what we are currently doing, if we continue with what we are currently doing, the implication is that we may get to the point where we'll have 24-hour power supply. We just say, look, gentlemen, we need to be patient.
We may. Nigerians will be excited by that.
Forum like this actually gives you the opportunity to enlighten Nigerians about some certain key issues, because one of them is the fact that with all these loans, some are concerned that we are ceding. There's a clause that says we cede Nigeria's sovereignty to China.
There is nowhere anybody will sign off the sovereignty of any country. Okay, so tell me, there are so many countries in Africa that took those loans. There are some of them that have defaulted. Have they been taken over? In fact, the mischievous people who came up with those stories came up with, oh, there will be a president, Chinchon something, that will be president of Nigeria. And in fact, they made a joke about the Katsina governor who is from China. So, and you believe it. It's what's happening in America. It's like the Trump story. That's happening in
No, we don't believe it, and we thank you for.
So if you don't believe it, you don't ask me. Because
that's what Nigerians are saying. So we need to clarify that.
Who people believe it?
Because fake news.
But without fake news, who will sign off the reason? Who will sign off the sovereignty of the country? So I sign up the sovereignty and I don't want to be president anymore. No, it is just a clause to ensure that when we default and they want to go to arbitration, you won't waive your immunity. No, you can't take Nigeria to court because we are a sovereign country. They are saying, waive that immunity that I can take you to court to recover my asset.
We hope it won't come to that.
Oh, that's what you say.
A lot of work has been done on the rail system. In fact, we've seen many Nigerians who are very excited with what is ongoing, especially with Lagos-Ibadan, Lagos. We hear that some workers going to work, workers that come from Ibadan to Lagos or vice versa, life is easier for them. Now, we're very happy to learn of that. We did hear about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks, that was last year, that some of the trains going from Abuja to Kaduna and coming back broke down. I think 1, 2, 3 in quick succession, and some passengers were, apprehensive at the point where these things happen. I wanted to know why and what's been done or what is going to be done in 2021 to prevent such things from reoccurring.
When that happened, the first thing that occurred to me is to ask you, Thelma, are you saying you've never fallen ill before?
Really? Like 14 years ago.
Okay, but you do. And they say really because you're young. Human beings even fall ill. Human beings break down. I break down from time to time, jumping from one place to the other. Occasionally I come home and I'm tired. Sometimes I have fever. Sometimes I have cold. So if human beings created by God can fall, machines can break down. Machines can break. Even a machine manufactured today can break down tomorrow. Did they break down? The answer is yes. Were the people recovered from the location? The answer is yes. But nobody will say how. Okay, did they have to walk from that place to Kaduna? There's no way. But again, the government responded. The government responded immediately. What government did was not just to fix the train, because we have Nigerian engineers who help to fix it, but to tell the Chinese company that sold us the train that if we are within the warranty period, we will return it. They have to come to bring people here to fix the train, to know what was the problem. Again, there's a file I read after I saw what happened. Part of the problem is the fact that there is a locomotive that I don't know whether that's the one that caused the problem, but that one happened because the crane, the capacity of the crane used to lift that locomotive was lower than the capacity that the Chinese had recommended. And they're telling us in the paper they wrote to us that they're not responsible. Because they specifically said, look at the capacity that can lift this thing successfully and bring it down without damaging the engine. And we use something lower. So my minute on the file was, please, they should find out who gave that directive, that crane that has lower capacity should
Well,
lift
an
the
interesting one there. But I know that, yes, Nigeria, the trains breaking down in the country, this is not the first time, the world is experiencing this. People from different parts of the world have actually seen trains, breaking down and being fixed. So it's a regular thing. But some will say that the security challenge in the country is the worrying factor that, like a lot of people are, concerned about, that this train break down in the middle of nowhere. But before you respond to that, let's just quickly take this next report coming from NTA Channel 10 Lagos.
Lagos is one of the most congested cities in the world. 40% of cars in Nigeria are registered in Lagos. Commuters spend at least 3 hours in traffic each day. Apapa-Lagos route is one of the most congested. To bring a solution to Lagos traffic issues, an integrated transport system that links road, rail and waterways network is required. However, recurring boat mishaps in Lagos waterways, among other militating factors, have made waterway transportation somewhat unattractive to many. In recent time, rail transportation seems to be enjoying a new lease of life. As Lagos is constructing a light rail system, so also is the federal government rejuvenating the rail transportation across Nigeria. An example is Lagos-Ibadan Standard Gauge Railway.
Apart from moving people, it's used for moving massively freight, that is goods, either moving from the port or going to the port. And the impact of that, as I tell people, cannot just be quantified in terms of naira and kobo. You have to be quantified. If you go on train, you have the peace of mind. And if you go on road, and because of the effective rail, you also have the peace of mind.
This train, the diesel multiple unit, has 8 coaches. The full capacity is 588 people in one move. But because of the COVID protocol, we've reduced our capacity to 338 in one move. If I take 338 people off Lagos-Ibadan road, how many buses will I need to convey them? If my bus capacity is 20, if I'm doing 388 in one move, so 388 divided by 20, it gives you an idea of the number of buses we'll take off the road if we do COVID protocol. If I do 588, and I'm sure we'll soon start that, divide by 20. Again, it gives you the number of people we could take off the road. Don't also forget, the part of this project, which is an addendum, is the track that goes to Apapa Port, and another addendum to Tinkan.
The expectations of many Lagosians for 2021 are simple.
So if you could have a rail system that could move within Lagos State itself, and you have stations people could board, say from Ikorodu down to the island, or Bega down to, Festa.
The best that we have going on for Nigeria now is in the rail sector. Constructions going on here and there. I think that this is where we have the most hope for now, because traffic-wise, the roads, now it's not getting better.
Many of Nigerians that travel out, they know the best way of development is you provide transportation, whether inter or intra. Once you have it, development will go.
I really would like to see the ferry services extended, and I really would like to see the train services extended. I would like to see the road network in better condition, and I would like to see traffic management generally much better attended to.
If the waterways are safer, the Lagos roads less congested, and both the Lagos Light Rail and Nigeria Railway Standard Gauge services remain optimal and attractive, Nigeria will be on a quick way to economic prosperity.
A good thing is a good thing. People have acknowledged and are still acknowledging the fact that our trains move. People can utilize them, enjoy themselves, travel with family and friends, and go from one state to another. In fact, long distance travel is being covered at this time. So we celebrate that, but that is not saying that there are no attendant challenges or consequences. Sule, you were asking the Honorable Minister the question
about
before the
the
break.
security challenge in the country, and the concern is that by the time this train keeps breaking down on the road, it's not just, like I said, this is not the first time anything like this is happening. US, UK, it's around the world. But if it breaks down in the middle of the, nowhere, and then given the security challenge in the country, the person just actually worried that what will happen to them. Do you have any measure like you put in place to ensure that lives are protected while,
where
engaged in this?
Where are you from? Let me ask you.
I am a Nigerian, and I'm from Niger State.
Niger, okay. I thought you're from Kaduna. I would have asked if you've been... Okay, living in Abuja, have you heard any day that there has been any successful security attack on the train? From the day it started in 2016. Have you heard any?
We haven't.
So why worry? There's a song in my church that says, why worry when you can pray?
Interesting.
But that's not the real response. The real response would be that if there was no security in the train, they would have had a successful attack.
Okay.
But I don't have to discuss security with you.
Yeah,
but the fact that you see that they've not been successful is because even them, they know that there's huge security architecture in the train, and if they try it, they will not come out alive.
So Nigerians have no cause
We're
to
very
worry.
happy
We're
very, very
16,
happy
17, 18, 19, 20. 5 years and no successful attack. You think they won't want to? They want to try it.
Let's talk about Lagos to Ibadan. Nice idea, because before now, I didn't know that so many workers, public servants, commute that distance. I would have said, you live in Ibadan, you work in Lagos, how? So the rail system has made it very easy for people to commute and return. But I was just thinking, considering what some public servants earn, spending 18,000 per week on transport is huge. That's minus your rent and minus food for your family. Perchance you're married, you have children. In fact, that's huge. And that's in a month, talking about 72,000. Even if someone is earning 300,000, that's a lot of money to spend on one member of a family. Will there be a time when...
How much is the rent in Lagos?
Wow. Some people pay one bedroom apartment, maybe like 300, 400.
It's expensive, that's the point.
So how much is the rent in Ibadan?
Much cheaper.
Exactly. It's what they call it, it's not economics of scale, but if you do a comparative analysis, you will see the reason why you need to go through to live in Ibadan. Food items in Ibadan is cheaper. Are cheaper. Accommodation in Ibadan, I assume, will be cheaper. Local transportation in Ibadan will be cheaper.
Much.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe even power. Maybe what power we charge people who live in Ibadan may be different from what they charge. I don't know. I'm just but I think life is cheaper. Life is cheaper in Ibadan than Lagos. So when people commute, I think it will be cheapest in Abuja. So why not say if they live in Abuja and they go to work?
So people in Lagos should move down to Ibadan.
No, I didn't say that, but I'm just saying we're providing an alternative to the Lagos economy.
Okay.
And growing the economy of Abuja, the economy of Ibadan. So you can do, those who, even there's no land in Lagos, so those who do business, who want to build factory in Ibadan, in Lagos, Abuja, or between Ogun State and Oyo State, are provided means of transportation. So when you then see that in Lagos, in Abuja, you have land, you can build even accommodation for your workers, you can build your factory, right? And you can then commute between Lagos and where your location is at the very cheap cost borne by the federal government. I think you won't ask about the cost of transportation. If you check what we want to do in Ministry of Transport is to contribute in the repayment of the loan. So if you check Kaduna, Abuja, where we make close to 200 million, if not slightly above 200 million naira in a month, and you spend about 100 and something million naira. My idea is that in 2-3 months, you should get about $1 million and start contributing to the repayment.
That's good.
That's the idea.
That's good.
That's the idea.
That's good.
Interesting.
We
Now,
commend you for that.
Thank you.
And we have some few messages coming in, and of course you can be a part of this conversation by sending in your comments and observation, and if you like questions. So the Honorable Minister is still here with us. Good morning, presenter. My name is Godwin from Kaduna. Why is railway staff least paid worker under Ministry of Transport? Now, the next one says, Right Honorable Chibuike Amechi, you are a goal-getter. Nigerians will appreciate you, if not now, but in the future, from retired Sopul Joel Ogunjobi Owo Ondo State. And, of course, that's about it. But I remember in 2018 at a sustainable blue economy in Nairobi, your representative, that's the boss of NIMASA, spoke about the need to aggressively invest in marine transportation, to add to the economic development in Africa. And of course, Nigeria, we have a huge potential in that regard, but all the effort in transport sector has been directed towards the rail transport system. What is being done differently to ensure that we upscale the marine sector?
The cabinet has just approved the Ibon Deep Seaport, which will be constructed by a foreign investor and the Akwa Ibom state government. The federal government has also approved a seaport in Warri, a new seaport in Warri, which has to be in the deep water area, and certainly not the one we have now. And another seaport in Bonny, which they will all commence construction this year. The one I have a bit of a doubt is the Warri one, but let's see what happens. But the one of Bonny, we expect that construction will start this year.
You're optimistic.
I'm aware. Unless we don't start the construction of the rail line from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. Because the agreement in the contract is that once we start the construction of the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri rail line, then the contractor must go to start, because that is an investment. It's not a contract. So you can't be doing, based on the agreement, you can't be doing the rail and not do the seaport. And the rail moves from Port Harcourt straight to Bonny to the seaport, where it's expected to carry cargo from there up to the northeast. So there are developments in the maritime sector. Is it where we want to be? The answer is no. I'm not at all pleased with the look of our seaport in the country. In fact, if you go to Lagos, it's like a marketplace. It's supposed to be a security zone. Yeah. People are not supposed to be found inside. The last time I went there was a total embarrassment. As efficiency increased, the current management of NPA has improved the efficiency. Is it where we want to be? The answer may be no, but at least they've improved it from what it was the last time when they came into what it is now. But they are overwhelmed by a lot of issues. There are rent interests that are involved. Total madness going on. And don't forget that the seaport is not completely under the control of Ministry of Transport or even under the control of NPA. There are so many other people that are in the seaport: Ministry of Internal Affairs, Immigration, Ministry of Finance, Customs. There are so many people. So when you see the madness in the seaport, you cannot be attributed to the failure of Ministry of Transport or the failure of NPA. You must also consider others who are also there. But if not for bad roads, the time it will take to take away your goods from the seaport appear to have also improved. But because even when we have said, fine, you can take your cargo, it will still be at the seaport because there are no roads. There is madness going on about the gridlock. That's where the railway comes in.
But that's where people would have said we will exploit the opportunities that other ports in Nigeria present. Why there's so much traffic and utilization in Lagos. But we'll come back. We'll come back to matter of ports. And you finished the conversation about Apapa gridlock, which is known worldwide. And many wonder why it still continues to last year in, year out. We go to Port Harcourt now. Our friends there, Blessing, in fact we call them Blessing 2, Two of our producers there are named Blessing, and they worked hand in hand to bring forward this information about water transport. It's a good idea. It solves many problems, but they have the opinion that a little more can still be done.
Waterways have been absolutely important in the transportation of people and goods across the world. Despite the immense benefits, water transport in Nigeria has had a long history of neglect by both government and private sector.
When I was born, it was with wooden boat with paddle from here, from this water side across Obakri, until the advent of the speedboat.
As the name implies, River State consists of many riverine communities whose major source of movement to and from several parts of the state rely on water transportation facilities for goods and services.
Water transportation to me is one of the safest and easiest thing to me.
We normally drive on the river to our community, we do not have bridge for motor transportation.
The waterfront has been used largely by the riverine neighbors, and it makes the transportation easier for us.
Although there are many areas that can be accessed conveniently by land, the state of water transportation has been faced with many challenges like inadequate infrastructural facilities, poor maintenance of available facilities, and lack of funding, amongst other issues militating against its efficiency. These avoidable challenges have made water transportation somewhat unattractive to many.
For the waterways, see that there are a lot of pollution there. Many things that causes accident. Timber, this so-called waterproof, and this champagne, another thing, Chapman, another thing. The things that causes a lot of. And all this mangrove, the branches is always at the waterfront.
More boats should be provided, and I think more people should be trained on how to drive these boats, so that we'll have enough boats that will ferry us to our destination.
There are sea pirates on river. I want government to, provide more security.
If they will provide life jacket, it will be better.
To improve and enhance efficient water transportation in the state, stakeholders are of the view that government and private sector have a big role to play. More so, the impact of urbanization and the resultant overpopulation of our city centers have often led to constant daily congestion of the major city road network in the country, and water transportation, if properly enhanced, can serve as an alternative in decongesting our roads.
There you have it, and we have some messages that are coming in. This one says, "Good morning, Honorable Minister. Thank you so much for your vision in the transportation sector. Sir, when will the rail line from Etape to Abuja commence so as to ease movement from Warri to Abuja?"
There's a new contract. It's not really a contract. It's a concession from Abuja to Baro to Lokoja to Itabe. That then takes you from Abuja straight to Warri. So what we currently have is Itabe to Warri. So an Abuja passenger would need to now drive to Itabe to be able to go to Warri by train. So what he's asking is, when will that contract commence? Now, there's a problem with that contract. The problem with the contract is that it was not really a contract, even though there's an EPC. The contract was supposed to be a concession. So what the cabinet approved was a concession. And then the contractor was supposed to source funds and form an SPV with the federal government. And the SPV will borrow that money and do the construction and own the rail line from Abuja to Warri and recover the money after some years. Right? And then when they finish recovering the money, they can then hand over the rail line to federal government. Now they are stuck Why? Yes, we agreed to give them a sovereign guarantee, but we also said they will give us a backup bank guarantee to protect our sovereign guarantee. Because what happens is that once you give him a sovereign guarantee, he is not as committed as he should be to recover the money. Okay. Because if at the end of the day they say they want to call up their loan, they will just call up our sovereign guarantee to pay the loan. Mm. So in effect, we are borrowing. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the contract. The contract is the SPV. Federal government will take 90% of the SPV, you will take 10%. The SPV will borrow. The SPV will manage the rail line from Abuja to Warri, manage it efficiently to be able to recover the $3 billion and pay back to whoever they borrowed it from, after which they hand over the rail line to the federal government. And that's where we are stalled. And I think that the contractor needs to come up with something progressive.
Is your think tank not exploiting other avenues to get a resolution so that we can move forward?
I don't know. What I don't know is that it will go a long way to confirm my assertion that there's nowhere in the world, and I want anybody to prove me wrong, that there has been a successful PPP arrangement in the construction of a rail line. They will show you about 2 kilometers of rail, 4 kilometers of rail where they've had a PPP. Yeah. But that's about 2 to 3 to 4 kilometers that are not expensive. Where you have 100 to 300 kilometers of rail, PPP, there has never been anywhere in the world that I want anybody to prove me wrong. Because it is capital intensive and it's usually borne by the government. So when they came forward with, I remember what Inelama said in the cabinet meeting. He then was the Minister for Trade and Industry. And he said that, Mechi, if you can pull this successfully, your name will get into the Guinness Book of Records to be the first man in the world to have successfully pulled an agreement where there is a concession to construct a rail line, because all the rail lines we have are constructed by a government.
Well, it's good that you mentioned Barrow earlier in your conversation, and I know that people, most especially the locals there, are eager to know when this port will actually take off, because I remember 2019 January, when it was commissioned, you were there, the president was there, almost all the stakeholders were there, but 2 years after, no ship has bet in that place.
You see, from time to time, Nigerians prove me right. I had this conversation with Goje about the viability of the river ports that we have. Onitsha River Port, Barrow River Port, Lokoja River Port, Oguta. And I felt that was a waste of funds. Really? The reason is that, of course, the reason for you to have those seaports, you must have to dredge River Niger. Dredge it for now. Even if you dredge, it is still 2.5 to 3 meter draft, which please tell me the vessel that can go there. The minimum you can have is a 6 meter vessel.
But when the president commissioned it, he actually said that the idea was to help decongest the Lagos.
Okay, so let me tell you the idea. Let me tell you the idea. Now, the idea, that's what the president was saying when he talked about decongestion. The idea is that, okay, so you pick up a cargo in Lagos, you put it on a barge. So, but I'll say Lagos is a bit too far. So maybe Warri or Port Harcourt. You put it on the barge and move it to Barrow. How many times will you go to be able to move those cargoes? So for the man who imports through Lagos or Port Harcourt, if he puts it on the train, he arrives the same day. There's no issue of insecurity and all that, right? The same way, unlike the man who has taken the cargo from Port Harcourt Seaport or Ness Seaport or Bonny Seaport or Ibon Seaport or Warri Seaport to Barrow by barge. Because there's no vessel, absolutely no vessel that will come in there at 2.5 to 3 meter draft. No, I repeat, no vessel.
Because they will spend billions of naira there.
Okay, so that's why I said, I had this conversation with my friend, Senator Goji, and he was like mad with me that it must be constructed. It's no problem. So I met it on grounds. I'm going to complete it.
So they continued it.
So we completed it. So the question is, why haven't we been able to utilize it up to now? What we've done is that we're open to concession it. So we're talking with a company currently that wants its concession to them. Just like we're having problems with Onitsha Seaport, River Port. We'll concession on Onitsha River Port, and we're trying to complete the construction of the one in Lokoja.
Okay.
The one in Oguta is a no, because already for you to construct the one in Oguta, you must demolish the bridge. There's a bridge and on Orashi River constructed by Dr. Deli's government, which is will not give an allowance for any good or any even a barge to pass through to Oguta. That's the problem we have with that.
But before we round up our conversation, can we look at the Apapa gridlock? Lagos will benefit a lot from a combination of water, rail, and land movement. These three are under your purview.
Yeah, but I think it was taken over by the office of the vice president, but they've returned it to Ministry of Transport because it was supposed to be a Ministry of Transport responsibility. But when they took it over, either the Ministry of Transport has failed or something is wrong. What I think, and I may not be completely correct, but what I think is the solution would be the transportation of cargoes by rail. If you look at the kind of trucks that you have there, the indiscipline of the drivers and owners of the trucks, and the inability of government agencies to come up with a proper arrangement on the movement of cargoes out of that place, plus the fact that the drivers are so indisciplined that they will not even obey. Now, Nigerians thrive in indiscipline and unlawful activities. Even in that madness of cargo, people are making money out of it. I hear people take 1.6 million naira now to allow you go into the seaport and come out of the seaport. What we've done again, working with NPA, is to put up a committee, talking with again the governor of Lagos State. I'm a bit confused because of the file I signed yesterday. I thought I said the Commissioner of Police Lagos should head the committee, but what I saw in the file yesterday is that it's not headed by the permanent secretary of Ministry of Transport. With Lagos State Government, Commissioner for Transport, MPA, Commissioner of Police, Lagos State, Commissioner of Police, Maritime, and to find a workable solution for now. Why we commission the rail line? When we commission the rail line, cargoes will be asked to use the track up to Ibadan, up to the end of Ibadan, not just in Ibadan, because you'll be transferring that problem to Ibadan, up to the end of Ibadan, and you can move from there to the express road.
And that's expected to ease that gridlock.
The gridlock, yes.
Our supervising producer, Mr. Bayo, has been talking about this passionately for the last 1 week, that other ports are not being as well utilized as those in Lagos. When? How?
No, you can't force an importer or an exporter to use a seaport. There are several seaports. But there are downtowns, there are problems in other areas. There's insecurity in Port Harcourt, there's insecurity in Warri, and Calabar, the maritime insecurity. We'll try to find solution to it, but we're not having the cooperation of Navy. Navy is also part of the problem we're having. So we need to engage Navy more and see how to find solution to the insecurity.
Well, we thank you for this chat. It's been interesting, enlightening, and what remains in my mind time after having any chat with you is the way our conversation is so calm. We get information for the most part, sometimes not the way we expect it, but nobody's tense. You know, you talk freely, you arrive freely, and it makes us we keep you here, sir, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Well, just before you round him off,
thank you very much.
Quickly, the Honorable Minister, are we going to have barrow ports? You know why I'm asking about barrow
There's a barrow port.
Are we going to have it before the end
There
of this
is a barrow port. You wanted a barrow port, there's a barrow port.
Are we going to have it functional before the end of this administration?
My responsibility is to construct a barrow port. We have constructed a barrow port. Is that true?
There is barrow port that is not functioning.
Please, there's a barrow port. Now, as Minister for Transport, I did engage the public to say, these are the problems we'll face if we finish this barrow port. First, Nigeria doesn't produce anything in the first place. So what are you going to transport from? You can't even... The utilization of if you discipline a Apapa Seaport, and it becomes very, very efficient, they don't have enough cargo. 30 million tons of cargo? For Christ's sake. Okay, but let's take that out. and say to you about Barrow Port, because at this point I should stop saying the truth and become a politician. So if I want to be a politician,
Interesting.
yeah, if I want to be a politician, I would say, yes, we're in the process. We have advertised, no, we didn't advertise, we have unsolicited what do you call it, proposal that has come in. We are negotiating with the person on how to manage Barrow Port. If we successfully conclude with the person, then he will manage Barrow Port.
Still have Honorable Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu here with us in the studio. Now, you heard a lot of views there about what needs to be done in order to fix Nigeria. Now, really, this is 2021, the beginning of the year. What do we need to begin to do differently in order to get us to where we want to be?
Well, thank you. Let me thank the management for inviting me to this very important discourse that try to address issues as it relates to our nation. The expectation from the electorate are really genuine. And I think the basis for that expectation is what made us to have a sovereign country. A sovereign country must ensure security of life and properties. That is the major expectation, because that will be the building block. Where you lack security of life, properties, any other things is secondary. So I think that's the major expectation from Nigeria. We are here because we have peace, and we are discussing. Other parts of the country, the story is not the same. You understand? So whatever government plans to achieve, if you don't have that security of life and properties, you cannot succeed. Nigeria, we won't expect a situation whereby the ongoing, continuous, daily bloodshed, kidnappings, and insecurity that people cannot sleep with their two eyes closed should come to an end in 2021. And I think we can have the capacity to do that. Therefore, us to achieve this, we are expected as major stakeholders, especially those of us in the parliament and those of us in the executive arm of the government, and even the judiciary, to have a listening ear. Not just consider people's comments and criticisms as an opposition or as no. The government must be able to put a structure that will sit down, analyze all the genuine grievances of Nigerians and see how they can address them. Because otherwise, whatever the plan we have, the budget cannot be implemented. That's one of the major expectations that I think should be our reasons for having that, to think that we can have hope in 2021 before I discuss the others.
People are talking about electricity. It's been 60 years, going on 61. And we do hear today power grid down, tomorrow power grid up, less houses are getting more frequent power. And from what we heard from Nigerians now, it's affecting productivity, ingenuity. In fact, some say it affects their peace of mind. Electricity, is it key to nation building and progressive development?
You cannot do without power. Power has come up as an in-thing in the whole world, globally. Let's take, for example, in the field of medical sciences, maternal mortality that women are dying has a direct relationship with electricity in the supply. Because we have delay, supposing now you are going to have a cesarean section, emergency, and there's no light. The time that it will take you to go and prepare and get continuous supply, that will take you time. That increases the delay and may cost even life. The fluctuation of electricity in the country has caused so many hardships. It has increased the cost of production. It has increased the cost of virtually everything. So if we want progress, we must go back and see how we can revamp our power sector so that medium-scale industries can come up. For example, I was just in my constituency. I've issued some empowerment materials to women, like groundnut compressing machine that I've just issued out. But it becomes now an issue. They must go and source alternative sources of electricity. And that is making everything costly. You understand? Agriculture cannot go with power. Industrial development cannot go with power. Any other, even educational, our research. In a research institution, you need a continuous supply of electricity. Most of the agents you are going to need continuous cold change, and that cannot be maintained. And if you say you have to sustain that power in hospital using the generator as an alternative source of power, it means you must have to use your LGR that cannot even be sufficient enough. So
Well,
we cannot,
thought
for
you
us to also
being,
develop, we must have to
you
that.
being an elected representative will be telling us the solution, because the problem you are stating is what we all know.
Yes, the solution,
is on ground.
the solution is for us to have a holistic approach.
We still have Honorable here. Now, we don't have enough time on our hands, but tell us, what should Nigerians really expect from our legislators this year, 2021?
Well, the electorate should expect from us a very robust oversight functions, rolling out of bills and acts that may be assented to by the president that will better the life of every citizens. Legislation that will provide food on the table of the common man, ease access to education, have universal health coverage, and then the packaging that will improve the social well-being of the people generally. And then we should also be expected to go back and touch life of an average Nigerian through our respective constituency project, so that we complement each other. We also have to expect from us a synergy between legislators and the executive, and also legislators with their respective state they are coming. In some states, the relationship between federal legislators and their state government is not something to write home about. And that has really affected the ability of members to deliver some projects that are life-touching to general society. So that harmony will create such a distance. We also have to have a situation whereby the legislator will be proactive. Let me cite an example. The ASU president just have confirmed that Mr. Speaker has intervened very actively to ensure that the issue of ASU strike has come to an end. These are all proactive measures. Not only that, we also have to ensure that the legislator also stand as an independent part of government that have the capacity and power to summon anybody and correct him, and also take necessary action as provided for in the law. This is only when we do that we now say that we have a robust legislation that is comparable to other
nations in the world, and have the best interest of every Nigerian at heart. Yes. We want to thank you, Honorable Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sununu, Chairman House Committee on Healthcare from Kebbi State, Ngaski Shanga Yori local government area. Thank you so much. A friend of the house, a friend of Nigeria. Please continue to do excellent things for your constituency and for Kebbi State and for Nigeria. Sule, we've come to an end.
Yes, that's where we call it today, and it's been a wonderful ride, trust me, and it's always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. Tomorrow, bright and early, we'll conclude the conversation on the expectations of Nigerians this 2021. Bye.
God bless Nigeria.